Tanner Jacobson and Cody Howard. Tanner and Cody were in court for driving on suspended licenses. Both men will be sentenced to 30 days in jail if found guilty. While both were waiting in the court, they got the idea of escaping. Except, it wasn't a bright idea, as one, they were in handcuffs. Two, you can't run from the law.
We were sitting there on the benches together and he's like, I'm gonna run.
28-year-old Howard and 22-year-old Jacobson made a run for it, but they weren't counting on Judge R.W. Buzzard chasing after them. Immediately, the judge saw them run. He removed his robes and gave them a chase. They made it to the final floor, but just before Howard could run through the emergency exit, Judge Buzzard grabbed him and pulled him back. Jacobson made it out of the premises, but he was caught a few blocks away.
I only get like 4 blocks and then I stopped. I just stopped on my own. I'm like, what am I doing right now?
If running away from justice was a person, then these two embodied them. The video of Howard and Jacobson's little run went viral, but earned them a new charge of second-degree escape. For his troubles,
decision, I don't even know why I did it. Like, I would be out of here if I wouldn't have ran.
I didn't try to escape to get out. I tried to escape to get well, and I tried to do what I could, do what I could do.
Howard was sentenced to more than 3 years in prison for his attempted escape and other charges. Jacobson, whom the judge caught, saw his sentence go from a potential 30 days to 1 year and a day for just second-degree escape. Dramatic enough? Wait till you hear about the story of Michael Madison. This is Michael Madison. The crimes Madison committed will make you want to make sure your doors are locked. Madison was an American serial killer who murdered not 1, not 2, but 3 women. As a child, he had an abusive mom, and his mother's boyfriends also abused him. In 2013, a decomposing corpse was discovered inside a garage he owned. Following investigations by the police, 2 other bodies were found. A search warrant was issued for him, and he was soon arrested. All 3 of his victims were women. He was charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder. His charges were later updated to 14 counts. On April 4, 2016, Madison's trial began. He was found guilty of murdering 3 women. On June 2, 2016, Cuyahoga Common Pleas Court Judge Nancy R. McDonald followed the jury's recommendation and sentenced Madison to death. During the trial, the victims' families were called to deliver a victim impact statement. When Van Terry, the father of the 18-year-old Sherelda Terry, was speaking, he looked over to Madison, and the serial killer smirked at him. What happened next was unexpected. Van Terry ran towards Madison and lunged over the table to attack Madison. Luckily, the deputies reacted quickly and escorted him out of the courtroom. No charges were filed against Van Terry, and Madison is still incarcerated. That was a whole lot of Just when you think you have seen the most drama, along comes Arthur Booth. This is Arthur Booth.
Mr. Booth, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?
Oh my goodness!
Arthur Booth was a bright honors student in middle school and earned the admiration of many of his classmates. He was gifted in science and math. It all went downhill for him when he became involved in drugs, gambling, and petty crimes. Booth's addiction to gambling and crack cocaine means he was always looking for a quick fix, leading him to a life of petty crimes. He has been in and out of jail since he was a teenager, ditching his dreams and ruining any chance of making something out of his life. Although he wasn't violent, theft and burglary were his go-to crimes. On one such occasion in 2015, the 49-year-old was spotted driving a car that was reported stolen in a robbery. He was arrested after he led the police in a chase rather than stop when told to. His charges landed him in Judge Mindy Glazer's Miami-Dade bond court, where his bond was set at $43,000, or a year in jail if he couldn't pay. However, just as the judge was done with him, she asked if he went to Nautilus for middle school.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
I'm sorry to see you there. I always wondered what happened to you, sir.
Oh my goodness!
This is the nicest kid in middle school.
The judge recalled how she admired him in school and wondered what became of him.
He was the best kid in middle school. I used to play football with him, and all the kids, and look what has happened. I'm so sorry to
Oh my goodness!
He eventually served 10 months in prison, but the unusual reunion with his classmate affected his life. He fought his addiction problems and made a better life for himself. This is Judge John C. Murphy. Courtroom proceedings can be hectic, but on this day, things got a little more than just hectic for Judge Murphy. John who's trying to clear up his schedule and has suggested that an assistant public defender waive the right to a speedy trial for his client. However, Assistant Public Defender Andrew Weinstock is committed to ensuring his client gets justice and insists he won't waive any case.
All right, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? I'm not waiting.
The judge and attorney went back and forth and couldn't find common ground. Frustrated, the judge remarked that he would aim at the attorney if he had a stone.
You know, if I had a rock, I would throw it at you right now.
He asked Weinstock to sit down and said he would handle the situation. The attorney refused, stating that he has a right to stand and defend his clients. But what happened next is where things get a little crazy.
Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No,
sit
you know
down.
what? I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand
I said
and represent
sit
my
down.
clients.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just
Let's
eat
go
your
out.
ass.
Shockingly, the two men went outside, and although the court camera couldn't capture their fight, we could hear them going at it. Finally, a deputy intervened and separated them. Judge Murphy came back to clapping and cheers from the thoroughly entertained defendants. He took some time to catch his breath and continued proceedings without Weinstock there to interrupt. Weinstock wasn't aware, but Judge Murphy is an ex-military personnel. He was a United States Army colonel and served with the Special Forces in various countries, winning the Bronze Star and 2 meritorious medals. However, his fight with Weinstock was deemed appalling by the Florida Supreme Court, and he was fired. Jacob Larson. This is Jacob Larson. What Larson does in this courtroom is by far the most dramatic thing you will ever see in a courtroom. Larson was in court for violating a personal protection order. Larson has got it into his head that his middle school classmate is his soulmate. The obsessed Larson stalked the lady on Facebook for over a year and paid several visits to her place of work before she filed a restraining order against Larson. Still, Larson broke the order, sending her 22 Facebook messages after the judge warned him to stay away from her. The hearing started peacefully with Jackson County Circuit Court Judge John McBain asking him several questions.
They're hanging out at her place of employment, you're putting things all over her car, her manager's got to come in there and ask you to leave.
But what happens next is the opposite of peaceful.
She's instigating it though.
Why do you feel that she's instigating?
But she's posting pictures and whatnot, direct it to me. All like a lot of makeup, hair done, all that stuff, like the full nine.
The judge didn't agree and sentenced him to jail, but Larson wasn't having it. He accused the judge of being buddy-buddy with the woman.
Bad attitude? You had a bad attitude last time you were in court.
You and her are buddy-buddy.
45 days county jail.
Oh,
Okay, 93 days in the county jail. You want to go for a year? Try it right now. One more word out of you, it'll be a year of county.
over Facebook. Really?
93 days in county.
The judge ordered that he be taken to jail. Larson refused to be handcuffed and made to fight the court security, but not in Judge McBain's court. What McBain did next was shocking. He quickly removed his robe, joined the struggle, and held down Larson until he was handcuffed.
Put your hands behind your back. Tase his ass right now.
Dramatic moments are expected in a courtroom, but how about when teenage killers have no regret for their actions? Click here and subscribe. Alan McCarty Jr. This is Alan McCarty Jr. McCarty was sentenced to 20 years in prison for threatening to kill Circuit Judge Stasha Warren. McCarty believes Judge Warren is responsible for making him lose his kids in a custody case.
Being done unconstitutionally. Y'all took my kids unrightfully. You won't allow my witnesses here.
He called the police, and what he said on this phone call, something I'm sure that officer never expected to hear.
Communications, Warhurst.
Yeah, I want to report a crime that's about to happen.
What do you mean a crime that's about to happen?
Yeah, there's about to be a crime that's going to happen if my kids don't come back to me, you stupid. I got a gun pointed at your building. Where's your Judge Warren at? You gonna bring that out in handcuffs and I'm gonna execute that right in the street.
The police traced the call, and McCarty was arrested and charged to court. but he wouldn't keep quiet. He rained curses on Judge Matt Foxman, who presided over his case. McCarty refused to answer questions and invited Judge Foxman to perform oral sex on him. The judge politely declined and threatened to duct tape his mouth. McCarty wasn't moved by the threat and continued his outburst in curses.
You threatened my life. You
Back room.
No, I'm not standing. Not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm just not standing up. I'm not standing. I don't have to stand.
Eventually, he was removed from the courtroom and placed in an adjacent room with one-way glass. Still, he continued his rant. McCarty cursed the judge, his attorney, and his wife. The judge added an extra 10 days to McCarty's 20-year sentence for his profanities and curses.